All right. Sorry about that, guys. I disconnected and I'm back on now. Just gonna wait for people to jump back in. Except Sterling. Well, that was a bummer, eh? Donald Palm, thanks for coming back, man. All right, we're getting that sweep. Let's pull up the chat here. We're in the groove there. We're talking about, I believe David at the time, we were waiting for Bitcoin to give us reversal. Hey, Bull Runner, hey guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, I had my internet just went out for a quick moment, but it's all back up and running. It's such a bummer. I only have about 10 minutes before I have a call with one of our coaches. We're going to be going over divergence targeting. Okay. Thank you for helping me learn trade. No problem, man. Yeah, just you can ask any questions you want in the chat. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Nothing in trading is common sense. We're getting that sweep of this high here right now. I still would rather that liquidity be taken. A lot of traders will sit on their hands until that liquidity is taken. But we are preparing for shorts here. Get our short position tool out. And where would we be cautious? We would be cautious right here. In confluence with these previous highs and this point of control. Quite a few barriers. So I would prefer some distance while taking out that liquidity up here. Thank you for this. I'm enjoying your trading skills. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm sorry about the disconnect, guys. Get a good sweep. I do have an indicator that helps guide me into knowing when an SFP has occurred. It really saves the legwork sometimes. But sometimes it doesn't catch them all. So, for example, it didn't catch this potential sweep here. Right, didn't call that as an SFP. This is a internal unclaimed high. So that's why I was focusing on this area. We've been internal on the 15-minute time frame from here to here. All this is internal price action, right? Until we break this high or break this low. So when things flip internal, it's good to look at lower time frames. Which indicator is this? This one's from 11x. We do have an affiliate link to them to save you guys about 10%. But it is a paid indicator. I do recommend avoiding some indicators that draw your order blocks for you or does your market structure for you until you learn it. That way you know when it's wrong or when it's right. I'm not saying this indicator is ever wrong. It's actually one of the best indicators I've ever seen. But when you're looking at free ones like, no offense to LuxAlgo, but their LuxAlgo market structure indicator is horribly wrong all the time. It's right once in a while, but unless you know your market structure, you won't know that it's wrong or right. And it's really important for you to audit it whenever it says there's a break of structure or change of character, and then confirm whether it's right or wrong. Use a lot of LuxAlgo indicators. I test them out with they had a really cool annual discount in the past. Because what really got me was their videos when they suggest certain win rates when some things occur. but you really, really got to back test it yourself, right? Because if you don't back test what people say, you're just taking their word for it, and you can end up getting destroyed, honestly. You're being told that it has like a 70% win rate or an 80% win rate, and then you back check yourself and you find out it's only like 30%. So don't apply what you learn immediately to your trading. Go in replay mode, go back in time, right? Do it right, and then go through every single time that scenario actually occurred and see how often they hit their measurable targets. And the downside with what people teach on YouTube too is they'll tell you really cool entry plans, but they'll never tell you an exit plan unless they're just saying aim for a 1 to 2. But you gotta know what opposing confluences are in order to know when to exit early if you have to, right? For example, if you jumped in on this internal SFP that just happened on the 5-minute or even the 15-minute, right? And you're looking at the measurable target of that 15-minute. And that 15-minute measurable target from here is this low, right? But you got to be aware of what could prevent us from hitting this and what kind of structure should I watch out for when we get to those barriers. And this point of control here, that 66-day point of control, and this previous high is a potential barrier that could induce a pullback, right? The invalidation point's right here for an SFP. So you can maybe wait for a pullback like that and get in between the confirmation and the invalidation point, or you can just hold through it and then wait for the next barrier and see how structure looks. I don't usually like taking confirmations if there's a barrier right in my face like this. So I'd prefer to wait for confluence of that barrier breaking, give up some profits for extra security. But yeah, right now the structure is telling us the story. Once this candle closes on the 15-minute, that we're going to be coming back down to here. But I'd be mindful of this area and mindful of this order block demand zone that we literally just built on the 3-minute. You can see it a lot more clearly. Got a good tweezer reaction on the 3-minute. That's bearish, right? But this is a zone of interest that can induce a bounce. And this is a zone of interest right here that can induce a bounce. If you're looking for shorts, you could take this, but I would much rather take the one where we grab this liquidity here. And we were just looking at the order books before I disconnected. And that the order books suggested that there are a lot of sellers at 90,500 and 90,490. And so we got a little bit of a front run, about $40 from it. So that tells you that a story that this liquidity could be guarded from those sellers, and that those sellers could be the ones that have their liquidity there. What is this prior for 66-day point of control? Up or down? We're down, man. We're focusing on down. We were focusing on up down here at the value area low, focusing on down now that we're at the value area high for this 3-day range. So to answer your question about that 60-day point of control, Nathan, if we go to the 4-hour and we zoom out, we have what's called value areas where price action tends to range. There's a rule you can make as a beginner to tell you when to pull a fixed range volume profile. A fixed range volume profile is just a tool to help guide you into knowing when the best time it is to enter longs or shorts. And like a value area low, it's the best time to prepare for longs. Value area high, best time to prepare for shorts, right? And they come in multiple different time frames. But a good rule to watch out for is you have to learn market structure first. I'd recommend learning market structure first before learning about value areas. But when you see a supply, impulse move down, bullish change of character. They had a bearish change of character. That's a good moment to pull a fixed range volume profile because it's become more mature, right? So if we look at this structure, we can see that here's our impulse move down, supply, down. We had our flip here. And then we had our bearish change of character. So at this moment, right here, you could pull a fixed range volume profile for this time frame, and it could start being more reliable. And we start preparing for longs and shorts within that value area. The point of control that I'm talking about is from this 66-day range, right? And we're fighting it right now as a form of resistance. Or actually right at this exact moment, we're trying to hold it as support. So it's really important for us to be careful jumping into a short when we have a point of control like this in our face, because if we find support above it, like we saw right here, we'll run right up to the value area high, right? And while looking at any supply concerns, in this case, we didn't have any really. What we kind of hope for is that impulse move up through this valley to our next key area of interest, which we spoke about in the beginning of our last little live session before I got disconnected. This is a key area that we're going to have to watch if we breach this zone, because if we zoom in, that comes with the confluence of this supply that was generated. We lost this daily uptrending momentum. So think of points of control as the strongest area of interest in a range. Like this is our active range right here for this 3-day range. So this is our strongest point of interest. And we see how we use it as we generate supply when it first began here. We used it as support here, resistance, support, right? Support and resistance, they're here. Resistance before we slapped right back down, and then we used it as support here. So when we breach above it, it helps us tell us to hold our longs. We breach below it, tells us to hold our shorts. If we use it as support or resistance, it tells us opposing confluence to get in or to get out of our existing trades. So the 66-day one right here, just a one to watch because it will likely induce a bounce like it is right now as we speak. And we also have structural confluence of this being a previous high, right? And it's a previous high of an ascending double bottom. So structurally, when you look at ascending double bottoms, for those of you who learned about those, they pool buy-side liquidity above their neckline, right? So if we see a bounce and a higher high, that tells us the story that is being used as buy-side liquidity instead of liquidity for an exit plan. We know there's a bunch of pooled liquidity here, so we have to be cautious of that for anyone who decides to try to ape in on that long. Diamond Guild suggesting study market structure theory on YouTube and in the charts for countless number of hours until it clicks. Yeah. There's a lot of little small rules of market structure that people miss. So yeah, I recommend what Diamond just said. Right on, man. All right, guys, I do got to jump off. So just to recap really quick, because I do have a call with someone I'm teaching about divergence targeting. Quick recap. Here, right as we stand, we're at an area of interest for bounce, right? And this bounce can induce the structure that we want for a short. So if we come up and we take this higher high, preferably into the liquidity that we have here, there's millions of dollars of liquidity right here. People in the who are in any shorts still from this area are about to get liquidated if they've held those shorts. And there's over $200 million on Binance alone in this zone. Okay, and the zone's between, it starts at 90,542 and ends around 90,920. There's a big cluster here. I spoke about that in my signals today when I did my post. So there's a bunch of liquidity here that could be taken. So if you're looking for a short, you prefer this liquidity to be taken first to feel a bit safer about your trade. Now, if we don't get up here and we instead close back below this point of control and below this previous high, we do have a little demand here that could hold us up. But after that's mitigated, we'll come right back down to the value area low where we kind of began this move up. We do have buyer's momentum that we could watch right here. So think of this as the pace of the buyers, and we only got about maybe 10 minutes of negative space before we retest it again. So we could range here for like 10 minutes before bouncing back up. We'll see what happens. But overall, yeah, looking for a short based on our current positioning. So just prepare for that. I will get the signal when I jump in. It's just a matter of waiting for the posture now. There is an SFP opportunity that just occurred when we swept this high. Its technical target is that low. But remember the barriers we spoke about, right? That could all induce pullbacks. So I'd front run this at least on the top of the orb at like 89,700 would be a good TP area if you took that SFP. And the invalidation point of the SFP is that the wick level high. And this was this is the confirmation candle. Let's see if we get that bounce here, guys, at this previous high. All right, guys, you have yourself an amazing day. Can you send your Discord now? Just came across your accent. Oh, thanks there, Sterling. Sterling, yeah, just sent you the link to the website and the Discord, so you can check it out there if you like. Again, I'd like to say thank you for the stream. Very important. No problem, Nick. Thank you. All right, guys, have yourself an amazing day. I will see you in the next one. Congratulations to the winner of the $6,000 Klein funding account. I really, really, really appreciate you guys sharing, subscribing, and liking. It's been helping the algorithm a lot. We're starting to get pick up the pace and growth here. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend and have a safe. Make sure you trade safe. Posing confluence is here at 897. So just be cautious, okay? See you guys. Bye. 10:30 a.m. Monday to Friday. Nathan, sorry about that. See ya.